All right, guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Back Tech Podcast. It is me and Cam here again, and we are going to go over round two and give our predictions for the Stanley Cup playoffs now that some of the matches have been updated. But today is May 28th, and there are still two first round series left. There is the Wild and Vegas playing game 7 tonight, and then there'll be Toronto and Montreal. They're going to play game 6 thing tomorrow. And sorry, Wild and Vegas playing game 7. So I'm going to we won't go based off our predictions that we had in round 1 for these two matchups, but we're going to give, because anything can happen. So we're just going to give our predictions for each of these series if either team wins. So I'll start off with the Leafs and the Habs. If the Leafs win, they will play the Winnipeg Jets in round 2. Cam, if the Leafs win and end this series tomorrow, what will be the outcome between the Jets and the Leafs?
Wow. Obviously, we know Toronto was the best team in the North this season. And Winnipeg shocked the whole NHL. That was the shocker of the first round to see them sweep Edmonton out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think we both had Edmonton in 5.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
So I think it's gonna be a lot closer than Toronto coming in and sweeping Winnipeg, but I'm gonna go with Winnipeg. I'm gonna go with Winnipeg in 7 games. Now hear me out. A lot of people may disagree, but I think their offense is just as potent as Toronto. They still got weapons: Ehlers, Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Dubois, Connor. I mean, they got some offensive talent there. And if Connor Hellebuck plays like a Vezina trophy winning goaltender, I think they will defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. What's your take?
I mean, look, beating the Edmonton Oilers is not a joke, but beating them 4 consecutive games in a playoff when they have 2 of the best players in the NHL on one team. And it was so bad that they actually were forced to put Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line. That has barely ever happened. That's how desperate they were for a win. The Jets did this incredibly, and I was absolutely appalled to see how, even when Edmonton had like a 3-1 lead in game 3 and they blew that, they blew it in game 4 as well. It was just crazy watching this team. I mean, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, they were the absolute heroes of this series. And unfortunately for Connor McDavid, he's going to have to keep trying, but he's going to get there someday. We all know it. There's no denial about that. He's the best player in the league. And I have really high hopes for him for his future. But going back to the Leafs versus Jets series, if the Leafs do win, they had a very bumpy game 1 with, John Tavares being injured, but they showed their true blue by coming back in game 2, 3, and 4 and winning all of those with pure dominance. And, Game 5 was a bit of a twist. I mean, you got to give credit to the Leafs. They made a comeback down 3-0, which was incredible. So honestly, it would be a really tight series, but I'm also going to agree with you. I think that the Jets can take this in 7 games. But again, don't be shocked if the Leafs win, because the Leafs have been absolutely a monster team this season. But I think that the Jets, what they did against the Oilers was not pure luck. It's just showing how lethal this team can become. So I will also take the Jets in 7 games. Now, what is most likely unlikely, the Leafs have a 3-2 lead in the series. But if the Habs do win game 6 and they win game 7 back in Toronto, what do you think will happen then if they play Habs versus Jets in round 2?
That would definitely be a shell shocker because, Toronto feel bad for their fans. First round exits to Boston. I think they lost in the qualifying round last year.
Not only that, they've lost. They haven't won a series since 2004 when Austin Matthews was only 6 years old. So
Toronto needs to win this series. If they don't, there has to be some sort of change. But if the Montreal does find a way to come back and win the series, I'm still going with Winnipeg. But I'll say Winnipeg in 6 games instead of 7 versus Toronto. The Leafs will come out. The Habs will be a little bit tired and from a long, brutal series with Toronto. And I just think Winnipeg's the better team here.
And remember, guys, Cam did say that this will be a Leafs series in 7. So honestly, we could be expecting that to happen. That was a good take. I kind of agree with you, but here's the thing about the Montreal Canadiens. They never perform well in the regular season to what we see in the playoffs. They are an extremely shocking team to watch in the playoffs. You know, everybody thought coming in that the Leafs would be completely the Leafs would be not the Leafs, sorry, the Penguins would win this series against the Canadiens very quickly. Was there a B on you?
Yeah.
Poor Cam. Anyway, so yeah, there's the Penguins and the Habs. That series, I actually had the Pens sweeping them 3-0 because you know how experienced they were in the playoffs. But the Habs showed up to that series last year and they won. And unfortunately, they didn't win another round after that. But the Habs are incredible. I mean, watching Suzuki and watching Cole Caulfield finally show up, and you know the veteran presence is doing pretty well. You know, Joel Armia and as well as Brendan Gallagher, they're also giving a lot of progress. They're also making a lot of progress in this playoffs. But I got to agree with you. The Leafs will tire them out regardless if they win or lose. They will be absolutely tired by the end of the series. So either of these teams are not beating the Jets, no matter who wins it, because the Jets have been fully reactivated. They came off a very short series. I will take the Jets to beat the Habs in 5 games if this happens. Now here's the question, Cam. Is it going to be the Habs versus the Jets, or will it be the Leafs versus the Jets?
I do think Montreal will win game 6. Like my prediction says, Toronto will take this in 7 games, and we will see the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Winnipeg Jets in the second round.
I agree with you, but I don't think they're winning game 6. I think the Leafs will just take them out. When I say they, I mean the Habs, but I just think the Leafs will take this at game 6. They've given too much leeway to this team, and they can prove that they can win games against them even when they're down badly, as we saw in game 5. All right, guys. Well, we're going to move on to our second decision-making game with a condition. This is now the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. Luckily here, this is a 3-3 tie series, game 7. This will be an absolute must-watch game and obviously a must-win game. Winner goes to the second round and we'll play the Avalanche. I think we had both. I think we had different picks here. I think you took the Wild in, I think, 5 games, and I
took Minnesota in 5 games.
Yeah, I took Vegas, I think, in 7. But you know, I still think that the Wild could probably win this game. I don't really see how Vegas can keep up with their strength unless Mark Stone has been playing the way he has in this series, which I think he will. But the Wild together as a team, they have become such a more dominant force. So let's start off with this. If let's go with the more likely approach. So most people are predicting Vegas to have taken this game 7. If Vegas does play the Avalanche, what do you think will happen?
Oh, geez.
That's the series of the year.
These are the 2 powerhouse teams of the West, Colorado, Vegas. The expectation is one of these 2 teams to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
Well, I think it's going to be an incredible series. Avalanche made quick work of the St. Louis Blues, mopped them in a sweep. So I'd have to say, whatever happens, whoever plays Colorado will obviously be the more rested team. So I'm going to go with Avalanche, but I think whoever plays them will still put up a fight. So I'm going to go Avalanche defeats the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games.
I actually kind of think the opposite. I think that Vegas, if they play the Avalanche, I think that Vegas will have so much power in them that even if the Avs may have taken a shorter time to end their series and get a longer duration of a break, I still think Vegas is on a roll. If they can win this game 7, they can show the Avalanche that they are up for any fight, no matter what. Now, no one was really expecting the Wild to even make the playoffs. They were kind of slow to begin the season, but then they became extremely dominant, you know? And I still think that, unfortunately for the Wild, it's a bit too unfortunate they're going to lose, in my opinion, but we can't anticipate anything here. If Vegas plays the Avalanche, this will be a Vegas win. An Avalanche win in 5 games. Yeah, I think, look, everyone was thinking the Blues might actually pull something off against the Avalanche because, you know, Ryan O'Reilly had so much confidence in them when he said that it's a guaranteed winning series. And the Avalanche absolutely tore them apart. And the Blues are a good team. I mean, you can't deny their talent. Ryan O'Reilly is there. You got Vladimir Tarasenko. You got guys out there like Colton Parayko. They're all very good players. But unfortunately, the Avalanche are the team in the West that is guaranteed to make the Stanley Cup Finals. So I will take the Avs in 5. Vegas might put up a fight, but I still think that, the Avs have had their way going into this Stanley Cup playoffs. And I think, they're wrapping up the Blues in 4 games will give them a long time to rest. So I'm going to go with the Avalanche in 5, sorry. And now, if the Wild, which I'm hoping happens, if the Wild do win Game 7, I'm rooting for the Wild tonight. If they do beat Vegas and if they will play the Avalanche, Cam, what will happen in that series?
What will happen in that series? First of all, that would be absolutely incredible. That would be the upset of the first round, in my opinion. I think Colorado will defeat the Minnesota Wild in 5 games.
Yeah, it's not much we can really say, though. But I made a mistake. Originally I thought that Vegas would beat Minnesota pretty easily after saying that they would win in 7. I thought it would be pretty easy, but the Wild actually did put up a fight. So I think that the same thing might happen here against the Avalanche. There's not that much of a difference between the Avs and the Golden Knights. They both are extremely top-notch powerhouses in the West, and they're both probably the 2 best teams in the West right now. I still think that this will be an Avalanche win, but unlike what is going to happen to Vegas, I think this might be a bit more extended. This will go 6 games in the Avs' favor.
All right.
And all right, now we have the other side of the playoffs, the other side of the bracket. Both matches have been confirmed. Fortunately, we have the Islanders versus the Bruins, and this will be quite the series to watch. And I think there'll be actually a lot of fights in this series for some reason. I don't know why. There's just a lot of bad blood I feel between these 2 teams. We saw Jack Edwards going ballistic when Leo Komarov / David Pastrnak. And that's just showing how intense this series is going to be. But I'll take this one. I'll kick this one off here. Boston they were absolutely on fire in that round 1. And I wasn't shocked that Boston was going to win because, they've had everything going this season. They are easily the best team in the Mass Mutual East Division. And there's no doubt that the Islanders aren't, they're not that far away from Boston, but Boston has been extremely good. The Islanders have also been very good, but they've made a lot of errors in that round 1 against Pittsburgh that I thought, shouldn't have been made. Even with or without Evgeny Malkin, they still could have won the series in 5 games, I feel. But I'm going to take the Bruins here as well. I am going to take the Bruins in 7 games. This will be a 7-game stretch. This will be a long series. And other bold take I'll make, 3 out of the 7 games will end in overtime. Not saying it can be for any team, but 3 out of the 7 will be overtime games.
That's a good take. We saw a lot of overtime in round 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a Bruins fan, but unbiasedly, I'm going to say Boston in 6 games. Like I said in the first round, I said Boston would beat Washington in 6. They actually beat them in 5. I'm going to stick to Boston in 6. Now, my case for the Islanders fans is round 1, Pittsburgh's goaltender Tristan Jarry played not very well, to say the least, and I think that's a little generous. I think Ilya Sorokin of the New York Islanders was the best player in that round. He posted incredible numbers, 940 plus save percentage, and he stole the show for the Islanders. And, just when you think Pittsburgh would come in and try to win the game, overtime, a Tristan Jarry turnover to Josh Bailey, Kyle Palmieri snipes one in game 1 to go over the shoulder. So all these circumstances here. And then late in the elimination game 6, Brock Nelson beats Tristan Jarry with a couple soft goals. And like I said, Tuukka Rask is a little bit more experienced than a guy like Tristan Jarry in net. And Boston's defense is better than Pittsburgh's defense. So it will be more of a test. But again,
but it's against the Islanders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, it's going to be more of a test for the New York Islanders because they are not playing Tristan Jarry and they are not playing a defense like Pittsburgh. Boston's goaltending and defense is much better and much more potent than. And
Tuukka Rask has been very consistent too. That's one thing we got to actually say. I wasn't expecting him.
Yep.
Absolutely incredible, and I wasn't expecting him to become consistent in this series. You know what happened to him last year. He had a family emergency, unfortunately, and he had to leave the bubble to go back home, which was, you know, it's a respectable decision. He respects his family. He loves his family. That's what we respect in this game. You know, hockey can't be about everything. Sometimes you have to always make sure that your top priorities are there. And Tuukka Rask, you can't count the man wrong for doing that. He had to do it, and that's a good decision based on what happened. So, but again, this year he's shown that he's back in his prime, I feel, and Tuukka Rask has been impressive as hell. And I'm still sticking to Boston here. And Cam, unbiasedly, is, I would say, I would agree with him. You know, as a Bruins fan, I think he's absolutely right here by taking Boston in 6 games. The Islanders are good, but Boston has been the better team so far. And, you know, this will be actually much quicker now because there's only one series left. It's the Carolina Hurricanes and the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is probably the best series of the East. I wish this was the conference. You know, this would be much more hyped. This will be much more hype, but I'll go first here too. You know, I honestly thought that after last year, what happened with the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup and, you know, the Hurricanes putting on a good show with their young stars like Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov, I think that both of them are going to be a dynamic duo in the future. And I was wrong about Nikita Kucherov. As I said in round 1, I thought he wasn't going to do much. He ended up scoring 2 goals in his first game back. So, you know, we're seeing more of Steven Stamkos, thank God. I'm glad he's healthy again. And the Lightning have been very good. And the Panthers put up a very good fight. But unfortunately, the Lightning are, you know, they're a powerhouse team in the East. So we can't really count them out. This might be an upset. Most people are going to go with the Lightning here. I'm going to go with the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes were absolutely incredible. I mean, every guy on that team put their hardworking soul to win this series. It was a team earned win. And I don't think there was just specifics out there to win this series. This was a hardworking team that deserves to go to the ECF once again for the first time in 2 years. And, you know, with my pick going with Boston into the ECF against Carolina, that might be another wicked series. Hopefully not in 4 games, but, you know, I still think that this team deserves to go to make a good Stanley Cup playoff run. I will take the Hurricanes to go in 6 games.
Nice take. Now, this is going to be an incredible series. And what I noticed from last series was Tampa playing Florida. No offense to Florida's goaltending, but they weren't very well until Spencer Knight came in relief. And at that point, it was just too late.
Yeah.
And for the Carolina series, it was a long, brutal series and many overtimes. 2-0 lead in the series. Nashville fights hard. Another Jordan Stahl wins the game in overtime in game 5, and then game 6, Sebastian Aho tips in the game winner. An incredible long, hard-working series for Carolina. Alex Nedeljkovic played great. So looking at this series, I'd love to see the Carolina Hurricanes advance. They absolutely can. But like on paper, the Tampa Bay Lightning with a full roster is a much more experienced team and arguably the better team. So it's going to be a tough take. And I think it's going to be a close series. I'm going to go Tampa Bay in 7 games versus the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean that's also a more realistic approach. And I think on paper, as you said, it's definitely right. But last thing I wanted to say, I wanted to congratulate Pekka Rinne on his retirement now that the Nashville Predators are eliminated. You know, unfortunately for him, even though he never won a Stanley Cup, the respect I have for that guy is off the roof. He didn't want to chase the cup. He just wanted to retire with the team he always began with. So that's the most amount of respect you got to get from a guy. And, you know, hopefully they might give him some recognition for the Hall of Fame. Who knows? I mean, he's definitely been the top 10 goalies of the last decade for sure. He's been incredible. And, you know, if he's ever watching this, you know, congratulations and best of luck in your retirement. And, yeah, I mean, this was an incredible career, and unfortunately, it was cut short by the Hurricanes. But again, what a career he had, and what a run by Nashville and coming into the Stanley Cup playoffs at the last seed against the Carolina Hurricanes, you know, who have been dominant all year long. So, you know, that's it, guys, for round 2. Hopefully, we can get our predictions right. Cam had more correct predictions than I did, and you can check his Instagram to see which ones he got right. And so long, guys, and we'll see you for round 3. Take care.